Excellent. Okay, so excellent. So welcome to the meeting. Kevin, is it okay if I go ahead and get started?
Yeah, I think we're ready to get started. David, I'm assuming that, did you prep your team a little bit what this was about, or?
Yes, but yes, I mentioned this, but I guess, you know, Mark, he can give some overview. I mentioned more or less what it is about.
Okay.
So Kevin, I tell you what, I'm going to do a quick overview of from our side, but do you want to do just a 1-minute introduction from your side and give them your perspective on things?
Yeah, I can do that. So for the energy and mostly David's team, obviously the director, you directly reporting to David, the IT team. I talked with Mark when I went to AESP in California about a month or so ago, and you know, we discussed, as we all know, we're progressing with the AFE on the DERM solution, and David Zidek and I have talked about, you know, throughout the course of the last year or so about the current system we have, that's DRMS, and how it functions as a work management tool. It obviously we all know what its limitations are, and so that's kind of what we got. I got this conversation started with Mark at Dynamic DSM as to how, you know, maybe perhaps look at a solution that's outside of DRMS or the new DERM solution we're moving towards, that allows us a work management system outside of that, right? So that's just a high level, and that's what this presentation is mainly going to, you know, what we requested Mark to give us kind of a presentation on.
Okay, fantastic. We, instead of going around the room and introducing everybody by name, I don't think we necessarily need to do that right now. If we have questions, we're going to have some Q&A at the end, so we can, you know, we can introduce ourselves if we have specific questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and just get into the presentation here. We have a few slides here at the beginning. So our agenda is going to be that we're going to do a brief, quick introduction to our company, Accent Gold Solutions, and our product, Dynamic DSM. We're then going to do a quick workforce management demo. We're then going to do a quick demo of the program process, of how we're on the basis of an example with the HEA and thermostat. And then we're going to do another demo on the field service component, the advanced field service component that's within Microsoft Dynamics. And then we'll do a demo of the configuration, of the configurability of the system, and then we'll close out with Q&A. So I'm hoping that we'll be done with parts 1, 2, and 3 within the hour. And then we'll be able to do part 4 and 5, each taking, you know, let's say 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes for the, maybe if there's more needed. And that'll leave us some time at the end for the Q&A. All right. So first, a little introduction to our company, Accent Gold Solutions, and our product. As you do see, we're based on Microsoft Dynamics 365. That is the platform that our solution is built on, and our product is called Dynamic DSM, and we are trying to associate ourselves in your minds with Microsoft Dynamics. That's also the reason for the name. Little introduction, that's a picture of the two owners, Tim Priestley and Mark Shaw. That's me on the right, Tim on the left there. And together with Satya Nadella, we've come up with a product, Dynamic DSM. So really it's Microsoft Dynamics tool and our solution built on top of that. We've had about 25 or more implementations around the country in North America. And getting into a little bit of an overview of our timeline, we actually come from the background of CRM. We do consider ourselves CRM experts. So we're not just building on the platform of Microsoft Dynamics, but we actually know Microsoft, or we know CRM pretty in-depth experience on our staff with all things CRM. In 2002, we founded Accent Gold. Tim Priestley founded Accent Gold Solutions, and we did our first implementation of a DSM tracking system in 2006. We rebuilt that onto the platform of Microsoft Dynamics and became a Dynamics partner in 2009. We partnered with ESP, which is Energy Platforms, in 2014 to build fully configurable measure calculators that basically we provide the calculation tool and you can go in yourself, and with a brief training, you can set up the calculators yourself and they're fully baked into the system. We rebranded our product to Dynamic DSM in 2015. And 2016, we integrated with Energy Star and their model library functionality. And then in 2017 is when things really got going with the portal and the field service. So that's when Microsoft Dynamics came up with their field service module, and also when they came out with their portal module. And those have really been big game changers, and I think both of those are very relevant for you and your user experience. Again, some of the implementations that we've done, you may recognize some of these utilities. Right now, we've got several large projects that we're also in the middle of rolling out as well. So at this point, what I want to do is switch over and show you a demo of our of the program process that starts with the workforce management component, and go through that. Are there any questions before I get into the demo here regarding what content we've already looked at? If I don't hear anything on it, I've muted you all, by the way. So if you do have a question, you have to unmute yourself. All right, so I'm going to switch over to the actual demo. Okay. And let me pull up my, okay. So in this demo, the first process that we're going to look at is that Victor vendor. So you could call him Peter partner or Victor vendor or Travis trade ally. But the partner here, the vendor, is going to be logging into the portal, and they're going to be logging in and working with their availability, making sure that their availability is known to NV Energy. So we're just going to hit the sign in button. This is all Microsoft out of the box functionality, by the way, the ability to sign in, the ability to sign up or register, the ability to redeem invitations. All of this is standard Microsoft functionality, levels of password. We can have double authentication, et cetera, et cetera. That's all baked into the Microsoft Dynamics portal, which is what we're leveraging here. So in the case of this demo, we're going to log in as Victor001. That's the username for Victor vendor. And the password here, I won't say out loud, although I'm tempted to. So logging in with the password brings me to my partner portal. So we're going to see here there's a couple of portals. We do have customer portals, partner portals. We have delivery agent portals. There's a number of different perspectives that the Microsoft Dynamics portal allows you to have. So in this partner portal, what we have here right off the bat is I'm able to see information about me. If I click on this, I'll be able to view information about myself as my login. I've got my home page that I can select here, or by clicking on the logo in the upper left, and I can obviously log out. So in this version of the screens, these screens, by the way, are completely configurable. So everything we're looking at is fully configurable. It's not, there's no custom HTML or anything going on. These screens are, are fully configurable within the Microsoft Dynamics portal. So the first screen that we've got going here is we've got our workforce appointment screen, which is relevant for me as Victor vendor or Peter partner, however I'm referring to myself. And I have immediately here a list view. Now, the list views, I can give myself one list view, or I can give myself a drop down with multiple list views. So my leads that I've received at this point, there are no records to display. The leads that I've already converted, let's take a look at those. And here I see I've converted a lot of leads for Craig Customer, for Colin Sadler, for Blaine Plain, Chris Jones. There's a lot of leads that I've already converted here, and they're filtered to yes. That's why they're appearing on this list view. Again, everything configurable within Microsoft Dynamics. And I could look here at some of the data, some of the details of each one of these. But in this case, I can also, by the way, come in here and hit the Export to Excel button, and then that will go ahead and export this list view to Excel. It's now popping up on my other screen as well, if I can get to my other screen. There we go, and I'll bring it over here. And so the ability in any list view to go ahead and just have a simple export to Excel where I can, as the admin, decide which fields I want to show, which fields I want to allow. And if you'll notice, the same columns here that I have are appearing here in my list view. So the ability to do a simple little export to Excel is nice to have. We also have the ability to, and I'll hit don't save, have the ability to search for lead records. So you have the ability to search also using wildcard characters. As you see here, there's hover over text that appears for giving instructions and guidance throughout the process. I can also come in here and sort by any of these columns simply by, right now it's sorted by the created on to show me my most recent. I could sort by customer as well, and I see that Adam's the first customer on the list, etc. And when I export, it'll reflect that. So pretty simple functionality here, but again, configurable. I'm going to go back to my leads received, and I see here that at this point there are no leads that have actually been received, but I want to scroll on down and look at my appointment availability. So the first thing that I'm going to do as Victor vendor, before I care about my projects or looking at my reports, which I can look at later, I want to take a look at the appointment availability here. I click on that, and this actually shows me the various appointments in my scheduling. So I get to see the dates of the appointments, and I get to see the time slots. So I have my 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. I have my 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. time slot. I also have some time slots 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So those are the 3 time slots that I spoke with Kevin about. So that's what we went with here in the demo. I can see that these appointments are flagged as available, and these appointments are flagged as not available. So I have the ability here now to flag for, and I'll say one more thing here. We're looking at Team North. If I wanted to look at Team South, so South Las Vegas, I could simply click on this and I could see the South team's availability. So at this point, I'm able to look at all the different time slots for the different teams. I'm able to have multiple time slots per team per day. And then I'm able to come in here and actually change the availability. So I'll do that. I'm just going to hit the edit button on this not available and say, you know what? The guy who runs the truck, we thought he was sick, but turns out I was wrong. He is available. So we do have availability now, or there was a canceled appointment. So we are now able to make that appointment available. So now that's available, I see that there's only one item here that's no longer available. So I'll just leave that one as not available. We have this one here. If you want to do this in bulk, not difficult, I would just hit the Export to Excel button again. That would download the option, and then I would hit the bulk update. After I've downloaded to Excel, I would make the edits in Excel, and then I would hit upload the file, and it would then allow me to select that file that I've edited from here and go ahead and run the upload again. But I'm going to hit cancel because we've already done our updates. I'm going to go back to my workforce appointments here. And so I'm good to go on my appointment availability. So very simple, very quick. There is a more complex method to working with my appointments and my availability, and we're going to be demoing that a little bit later on, but I wanted to show you a quick and simple way that you can view all of your appointments, your availability, and you can make your time slots available or not available and manage those time slots as needed. When a time slot is available, then it becomes available for the manager inside the utility, Kevin, for example, or Kevin's team, to then go ahead and associate a lead with an appointment. Okay, so we've got our appointment and our availability figured out now down here. And now at this point, well, actually, you know what? Before we do this, let me just do a quick show and tell of the reports. So these are interactive reports powered by Power BI. And these are just some simple reports that we have here. I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger. And this allows me to very simply just to choose which teams I want to look at, what dates I want to filter to, and I can see the time slots, whether it's my 8 a.m. time slot, my 4 p.m. time slot, my 12 p.m. time slots. This is just Power BI reporting on the data that's live in the system. These reports are interactive. So here I'm able to see, by my teams, here by the availability of the time slot, what's going on here, and then the breakdown by date. So for example, I can uncheck the South time slot, and then that changes the values that I have here. I can also come in here and let's say I do want to choose all of my time slots, and I can go ahead and click into one of the time slots, the 12 p.m. time slot. And again, these are interactive reports. I am able to see when I select on certain items, or when I select multiple items here, I'm able to see that those are interactive with other factors here. I can also change the date range that I'm looking at, etc., or use the sliding scale on the date range as needed. Okay, so pretty simple Power BI stuff on my appointments. I can also then look at my leads, and we're about to take a look at the leads here in a second, but this is valuable for me as Victor. I'm able to filter the leads by month, by date, that's relevant for me, and then also even by teams or any other filter you could come up with. These are just the quick and dirty ones that we came up with for you guys. And again, if I want, I can simply click on, I only want to see Team North. Click on Team North here, and it's going to change the values that I'm seeing across all the other reports in real time. So I only have 8 leads for Team North. If I click on Team South, I can see that I have 6 leads for Team South, and you can also see what those leads are here. So if I come back to Team South, select those again, and you can see here are the actual 6 leads in a list view. And I can actually drill into each one of these and go further, or I can say, you know what, I'm going to choose just some of these. And actually, I was holding down the control instead of the shift. But let's say I come into Team South again and decide I'm only going to look at several of these here. So you have the ability to select these, and they're all interactive. I can go further. I can take a look at my teams, and I can look at for how many of our requests were HEA and thermostat, how many were only thermostat, how many were only HEA, by teams here, again, by lead date, by the appointment results, whether it was a walkaway or whether it was an appointment that's been confirmed. So I can choose to look at these. If I filter just on walkaways, I'm able to see that my numbers here, if I'm looking at my confirmed appointments, and my confirmed appointments were, again, 2 for thermostats, 1 for thermostat and HEA, and then 0 for HEA only on the confirmed appointments. And this was for Team North. So very interactive. And again, this is we came up with these pretty quick. I have no idea if this is exactly what you're looking for, but I'm trying to give you some examples. And then I can go further with some other reports here, KW8 savings, et cetera, incentives by measure, and I can drill down into the exact sites, et cetera. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home page for Victor Vendor. And actually, I'm going to log out as Victor Vendor. I'm going to log back in as the customer. So log out, come back here, and now I'm putting on a different hat. So that was my experience as Victor Vendor with the blue hat. Now I'm putting on my green hat as Craig Customer. So Craig Customer is now logging in, different part of the process, and Craig Customer is going to log in Craig 001. Going to sign in. And here I have my customer portal. All right, so when Craig logs in, he sees different screens because Craig has been given a different, has been assigned he's been assigned a different persona and a different login permission set. So he has a different set of screens because of that. Okay. So Craig doesn't see availability. He just sees his applications, and he's able to actually go on and request an energy assessment or request an appointment here. Okay, so right now we have the button request energy assessment. We could call it request appointment. We get to see he's able to go back and take a look at his history of all the applications. He's because Craig owns possibly multiple properties, etc. So we see what programs. We see the residential program here. We see he also did a commercial project down here. We get to see the sites that he's done this at. His efficiency partner has always been Victor Vendor, because from my understanding, you guys only have one partner that you're using right now. But if we used multiple, you'd have Victor Vendor and Peter Partner, etc. The appointment dates. What are the next steps for me? So for me as a customer, no action is required on this one at all. This one, it's pending approval, so I'm just going to be waiting here. And then the energy advisor or the partner, these are the tasks that are then that are going on for those partners. So in this case, what I'm going to do as Craig is I want to request an appointment. So I'm simply going to click the button request appointment. It's going to bring me to my appointment request energy assessment here, and the date that I'm going to be requesting this for. Let's just go ahead and go for today. The requested time slots. Let's go for 4 p.m. I want it today in a couple of hours. And my utility account that I'm selecting. Now, why would I need this? The reason is because Craig is logged in, and Craig actually has a business. I have my own plumbing business, and I also have my residential account as well. So I have a business account and a residential account. So I'll log in and I'll use my residential account for this. And what site do I have? Well, I have 2 sites. I have the one that my daughter lives at here, and I have our home one where I live. So I'm going to go ahead and select 1141 in Lancaster. Great. And let's select the appointment type. Now, when I select appointment type, a couple of things are going to happen. Let me first select thermostat. And when I select this, it opens up and provides me the information from your PowerShift. We just copied this from your PowerShift. Tells me this, and it also tells me how many hours I can expect. Estimated hours on site is going to be 1 hour. Well, how about if I go with HEA? Well, that's also 1 hour, and I'm going to get a free in-home assessment or whatever PowerShift offers me here. Or I could say, let's do both. And actually, if I do both, it's going to give me information for both, and it's going to change my times to 2 hours. So at this point, we'll go ahead and go with both. That's fine. And I'm just going to say entrance is on the side of the building. Great. So use the side entrance as my little note here. This is my time request, and I'm going to submit the request. Congratulations, your request has been received. You'll be redirected to your dashboard in 5 seconds. And here we are. So the next step here, I get to see this is the project or this is the request I just made. And this is pending approval by NV Energy. So I get to see what the next step is. So I'm good to go at this point. I'm NV Energy, and I'm Craig customer, and I've basically done made my request, and I get to see what my next steps are, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm good to go. I can log out. And at this point, I'm putting on my third hat. My third hat is Ava. So I am Ava who works for NV. So Ava NV is my third persona, and I have a manager named Kevin. Kevin tells me to do my job. So I say, all right, Kevin, I will log in and do my job. So I log into the system here, and now I'm in the CRM. So this is a different view. So instead of logging in through the portal, I'm actually logging in through the CRM. And in the CRM, I have an entire array of possibilities. So I can look at accounts, contacts, sites, premises. I can look at my partners such as Victor Vendor. I can look at all my projects and measures. I can go through my program library. I can look at the portfolios and the sectors and the programs and the offerings, my budget library, my invoices or financials, my dashboards, etc. I've got a whole array of marketing tools, campaigns, leads, etc. My appointments, tasks. I can look at a whole array of different kinds of reports here, reports and queues, my activity streams. I can look at my goals and the metrics, how I'm doing in comparison with my goals, look at marketing lists, and all kinds of other things. We have complete cost benefit analysis and cost effectiveness configurability in what we call reporting sets, et cetera, all kinds of other things too, Power BI, Excel reports, and then my ability to do configurations. Jonathan's going to come in a little bit later, and he's going to explain the configurations and how we set all this up with our templates and let you configure your workflows, your measures, your uploads, your models, your cost effectiveness, your approval levels, your security, etc. But for right now, when I log in and I go to my dashboard here, then where I land is on my default dashboard. And my default dashboard, actually I'm on another dashboard, my appointment availability here. Let me go to my default dashboard that I was already on this screen, so that's why it did this, but I'm going to move over to another dashboard, NV Energy Applications. And I can see there's two lists. The first list is my leads. So a lead is what we have from Craig Customer. Craig Customer just came in here, and Craig Customer requested an appointment, and over here I get to see the projects that have resulted. So leads are over here. This is an appointment request, and then the actual projects are after we've gone in and done our direct install for this residential direct install program. So at this point, I can look at this record. There's only one thing for me to do, so to double click on this record. I'm going into the lead record, and I can see a few things. I can see that Craig Customer was the one who filled it out. I can see the location. Craig has two sites, but this is the site that we're working with. I get to see the program offering here as residential direct install because that came in directly from the lead. I get to see that the project template that we're going to be working with is a residential direct install project here. We've automatically assigned Victor Vendor. Now that's because we only have one vendor that we're using, and we have a workflow that's automatically assigned Victor Vendor. If there was multiple vendors, we could either leave this blank and let Ava, who I'm logged in as Ava, I could either have Ava be the one who manually populates the efficiency partner, or I could have the system automatically select based on certain things. I do know the appointment date here that's desired, so the appointment details are requested here. And I do see that my job now is simply to select the team availability. So I'm looking for an appointment, 3/27, 4 p.m. So I'm coming in here and I get to see all the appointments that are available. Okay, so the appointments that are available here for different days showing availability, I could filter this as well so that it always shows me just today. But right now, because I have my appointment date here and my appointment time, I'm going to match that up with an appointment availability here, and I get to see, yes, I do have 2 appointments available in that time slot for Team North. So these are appointments that are available and not taken. If an appointment has already been taken by another lead, then it disappears from this list. Or if the appointment is not available because Victor Vendor hasn't marked it as available, it also doesn't appear on this list. So these are the appointments that are available. I select this, and I'm just going to hit the refresh screen here. What it's done in the background, the reason I'm refreshing it is just to show you the automation that runs. So it hasn't populated it yet, but here, the hours, it's going to populate this in a second. The workforce team has already been assigned. That's Team North, and the hours have populated. If I refresh again, it'll populate the workforce team. So it's already in the data. It just hasn't appeared here on the screen. I have to refresh the screen one more time to see that. So I've got here the amount of hours is set up there. My team availability has been selected. And not only that, but we're going to be automatically sending an email to Victor Vendor. So I actually will go ahead and refresh the screen one more time. You don't have to refresh the screen for the automation to run. It's just I'm trying to show you that it did run. It's running in the background. So as you see here, yes, it loaded now, Team North. And also I get to see that an email has been sent out. So an email has been sent out to Victor Vendor. Let's go ahead and click on that and let's read what it says in that email. This is the email. We get to see it came from Dynamic DSM support, or we could change this to say from NV Energy to Victor Vendor. A new lead has been assigned to you. And let's scroll through here. Hello, Victor Vendor. You've been assigned a new lead. Who is it? It's Craig Customer at this location for this program. Please log into the portal to find out more details regarding the lead and initiate contact to perform an energy assessment. Click the button below to log into the portal. So this is what Victor's going to receive, okay? So now that we've done this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back over from the CRM screen, which is Ava's view. So I'm going to say goodbye to Ava. I don't have to log out. I'm going to switch the screen, and I will now go back in as Victor Vendor. So I'm putting on my blue hat. I'm Victor Vendor, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my inbox. My inbox happens to be Gmail. So I'm going to refresh the screen. And we see here, a new lead has been assigned to you. Well, let's open that up here. And this is the email that just arrived from Dynamic DSM support to Victor Vendor. You've been assigned a new lead, and please log in, and exactly what we saw. So when I hit the login to portal button, it'll bring me back to the portal and change screens. There we go. And let's log in as Victor Vendor one more time. So Victor 001. Okay, so at this point I see, aha, leads received was blank, but now leads received is populated for Craig. Have I converted this lead yet? No, I have not. What's my next step for me? My next step is to confirm the appointment. That's what I need to do with this lead that I just received. So not a whole lot of thinking involved. I know what program it's for the residential. I know who it is. And switch back here. And then I have a choice here. When I'm looking at my leads that I've received, I can either confirm the appointment or convert it to an application. At this point, let me do step one, which is confirm the appointment, because that's what it says for me to do. I'm going to confirm the appointment here in this screen. So Team North has this appointment date. Here's Craig's information. Here's a phone number for me to, here's the main phone, and then here's another phone number, backup. And then here's an email, okay? So I've got some information here. I'm gonna make some phone calls. I'm gonna try to confirm the appointment. So now, if for whatever reason I wanted to, I could then end up, based on the phone call, I could change the date. This is editable. I could change the team because it's right on the border and my South team has availability. Or I can just go ahead and do this. I can select canceled, which is gonna result, that's a walk away, or confirmed. So I'm either gonna cancel or confirm the appointment, okay? In this case, I'm gonna go ahead and confirm the appointment, and then I'll update the lead. So as you see here, I've updated the lead, and now the next step is actually to perform the assessment, and followed by creating the application. So at this point, I get in my car, I drive over there, and when I arrive there, I perform the assessment, okay? So performing the assessment, when I'm done with that, I come back into the system, into this screen right here. I'm on site at their location, Wi-Fi, and I am now ready to convert to an application. So if they somehow canceled on me and changed their minds on the spot, I would go back into confirm appointment and change it to canceled. But because I actually have the appointment, I'm ready to convert it to an application. So what it's doing now is it's taking the information from the lead and we're generating an application. We're validating the information for Craig customer. We're creating a project record from the lead record. We're associating the lead with that. We're creating milestones and we're automating. We're also copying data from the application templates. We're running summations and we're lining up the business process flow, which you'll see across the top of the screen here in a moment. And then we're going to redirect to the application. So the lead has now been converted. And if I were to go to the lead record, you'd actually see it's now converted. And it wouldn't even appear on that list view anymore. So now I'm in the actual application. So now this is wizard driven, and you can have as many steps as you want. For example, you may or may not want to have the terms and conditions right here. You know, so this is very flexible how this is all done here. All these steps are completely configurable. So at this point, installation address, that's pretty clear. So we're going to just go ahead and save and next. Now we do have the option, since Craig does have multiple installation addresses, if he had made a mistake, I could simply hit the X here and select one of his other addresses if needed. But for right now, we're going to just hit save and next. And because this is already pre-populated, you could just skip step one. Step two is terms and conditions. So we could either have ourselves selected, or we could figure out a way to have, or Craig could come in and actually select this. So we're going to hit save and next on these terms and conditions. Step three, is there a payee? Now, I'm showing you this under the assumption that there is a payee, and that the payee is going to be Victor Vendor in this case. Now, so this is Victor's information. This is not Craig's information. If you are repaying Victor, then this is valuable. If there's no payment at all, for the effort, then we're just going to skip step 3. But I'm assuming that even though the customer doesn't get any money, Victor's going to get some money. He's going to get an incentive for all the labor that he's performed here or the measures that he's installed. So I'm going to hit save and next. And by the way, he can change some of this information himself on the fly if needed. Or if it's always the same, we can just skip that step as well to limit the number of fields. So in this application, pretty simple. I'm just going to pick my building type. We'll select residential, select my application type, residential direct install program versus some of these others. Total square footage, let's go with 2020, and conditioned, let's go with 1800. For the approval dates, we're going to go ahead and get the customer. We'll approve today. Was your application purchase planned prior? No, it was not, which means no free ridership. And how influential was the measures in the decision? Very influential. So no free ridership to worry about here. We've filled out our application fields, and again, configurable. You can decide what applications fields you guys use. I looked on your screen to see if I could find them, and you have it blocked out so that I couldn't actually. I tried to look at your set of fields, but it's not difficult to add fields. Pretty straightforward stuff. So now I'm able to add my measures. So I have a shopping cart concept here with the measures. So I can either upload multiple measures, which I may or may not want to do. But we have that option to upload multiple measures, or let's just go ahead and add them one by one, and we'll just go through the wizard to show you the concepts here. So first I'm going to choose the measure type, and we'll go with bathroom here. That's fine. And then it opens up the field, select the measure. So of the bathroom, I have a shower head, and let's go ahead and select that. Hit save and next. And it's going to bring up a set of fields that are specific to the shower head measure. So I have 4 fields for my shower head measure. I'm going to put 2 units. For my install date, we'll pick today. Purchase date, we'll pick today. And for my total cost, we'll just pick $20. And we'll hit submit. We'll add a couple of measures real quick. I want to show you that the measure screens are different. So they're different per measure that you've selected, per measure category. So I've got 2 shower heads, and you can then in your templates, you can configure in your measure calculators, you can configure if I've saved any, there's no gas savings, but there, let's say in this case, kWh savings because he's maybe heating his water through, et cetera. And then I see the incentive amount here. So let's add another one. This time, let's pick a different one. Let's go with LED. Light bulbs. And there it is. And it's pulling up a different screen. So in this case, you'll notice I have 1 additional field, very simple calculation here, but 1 additional field, and we'll go with 75%. Again, we'll populate the install date, today, and the total cost. Let's go with $10, whatever it is. And in doing so, we're building up a repertoire of different, so you can have different types of light bulbs. We just decided to keep it simple, and each light bulb can obviously have its own pictures, can have its own categories, etc. And these fields have not populated yet because they're still calculating, but that's fine. So I could keep going through this and adding more measures. At this point, I'm just gonna move through and hit save and next. And what we've got now is document attachments. So this program has been set up to require an assessment document. Have I uploaded this assessment document yet? No, but you know what? I just want to skip it. And it's saying, uh-oh, you can't. Please upload all required documents to proceed. Oh, bummer. Okay, I guess I have to. All right. So I'm going to attach a document. I'm going to select the one I'm trying to match to, because you can match to multiple kinds. So let's say you have 5 different kinds. I'm going to choose the file. And my assessment document, we'll just go with this one here. That's a Word document. There it is. We see that once I've uploaded this document, it says uploaded. Once all the required documents have been uploaded, then I can move forward and not before. Hit save and next. I can now take a quick look and review before I submit, just to double check if there's anything wrong. If I feel like it, I can just say, you know what? Let's just exit the application here. If I exit the application here, I will be saving this in draft mode, but I won't be submitting it. At any point in the process, I can always exit the application in the middle of it and come back, and I can then fill it out later. So no worries, I can do that at any time. I can print it, I can go back to previous screens, or in this case, because I'm on the final step, I have the yellow button here called Submit. So what I've done at this point, I have now converted the project to, or converted the lead to a project, and now the application is being reviewed by Ava over here at NV Energy, and I can see that that I'm ready to move on to the next step here. So these are my direct install for residential. I'm now able to see my direct, my commercial small business projects as well, and any other programs that you know, there's only 2 programs we've allowed Victor to work on. So these are the 2 programs, and this is what he sees here, okay? So that is the, so that's his process. If I come back over here to NV Energy, and I go to my home page and I look at my workforce appointments, you will see that the leads received is now blank because I converted it. And my leads converted now includes this one here at this address, and I've converted the lead. So it's now, we're done with this here, and we're looking at it from the angle of a project. And if I want to see my projects again, I could come right back down into here and look at my project. So I'm able to see my leads, my projects, my appointments, my reports, and anything else that you would want Victor to see. So at this point, the project has now been moved on, and now I'm going to log back in as Ava. So I'm going to switch screens, and I'm going to go as Ava. From reporting, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. So now you'll see that my leads are blank, because the lead that I had got converted. So this is blank over here. So it's nice. The system is always telling me what to do and what I need to do or not do. So it got the lead got sucked out of here, got placed in here as a project. And now I get to see this project. This is the most recent project here, application being reviewed by NV Energy. That's me. So let's go ahead and select this project number, because I need to now do the reviewing. I'm Ava. And I get to see the business process flow across the top of the screen here. So you'll notice there were 4 different options here on the top of the screen. So completing the application was the draft, basically. This is the step that the user was in before he hit the submit button. So remember, we converted the lead to a project, and then we were filling it out. In that process, prior to hitting submit, it was in stage number 1, completing application, but we see there's a check here. We've already done that. This step is done, and it's also in a different color of green. The flag indicates where I am right now. I'm in the reviewing application stage, and there's 2 more stages, payment processing and application complete. Now, I know in your case, you're not going to be doing a payment if I'm if I'm understanding Kevin correctly, but I did this on purpose to show you, that this would be the step that you could take if you wanted to, if you did want to actually initiate a payment here, okay? So in this case, I can basically look at the different fields here. I can see my pending next steps for various, for the participant, etc. For the participant, which is Victor vendor or Craig customer, I get to see here no action is required, etc. I get to see the account number, the site, all kinds of information here. I can come down below and I can look at the measures, and I can see there are two measures that we had set up here. There was the LED light bulb and there was the shower head, and I can go into each of those and look at more data. I can also take a look at the documents, the assessment that was uploaded, and I can actually open up this and click on it and review the documents to make sure that I feel good about the documents. There it is. This is the document. And I can also then come in here and take a look at my payments. And here we are. We have a payment here that has not yet been started. So it exists in the system, but it has not been initiated yet. Why? Because I have not completed this stage. I'm still reviewing. And only when I hit the next stage button, by completing this stage and initiating the next stage called payment processing, only then will this change from not started into payment, into initiated, basically, okay? I see that this would be a check mailing that would go out. It's a vendor payment. It's not a customer payment. I can see that here as well. So I'm gonna now click on the next stage button, and then I will watch this move into payment processing, and I will also watch the financial get updated into the proper stage. So next stage. Oh, it says you have to complete the required steps before you can advance. Oh, so smart. Bummer, I forgot to actually do my approval. So I'm going to come in here to this field, and I'm actually going to do my approval. Now, when I click on this, I'm going to select the day. And when I edit a field, the audit trail will note that it was me, Ava Envy, who actually populated this field, okay? So if I were to come in here into this record and go into the audit history that shows me all my fields, I would see that field, and I would see that it was populated by me, by Ava, so there's no way of somebody else doing this for me. If someone else were to log in and they had the permission, I would see that they actually did this. You're able to track not just the field changes, but who changed the field at what time, from what value blank to what value, which is today. Now let's hit next stage and see if it works. Oh, it does. So it does update. It completes the reviewing application, puts a check there. It moves this forward to payment processing. And I'm going to simply I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to do a refresh of the screen. We do see here there are calculations that are taking place. These don't always show. We have these here for administrators to be able to see the various calculations that are taking place on the screen. But I'm going to right click here and hit refresh list. And what you see here is that now the financial has actually moved forward. And with the financial moving forward, let's take a quick look at it. And we'll see also that you notice here the $80 incentive calculated amount is a total of the $40 for this one and the $40 for this one. So in this case, we have these two adding up to one payment. And let's take a quick look at that payment. We automated this. Now, normally it's a 5-step process. It starts at 0 financial created. It goes through a financial review, but because the dollar amount was less than $100, it actually automated all the way through. So the typical automation is that it will actually stop here at financial ready for AP. And this is typically where a synchronization takes place once a week, twice a week, once a day, however you want it, with accounts payable. For example, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. this would run, and every Friday at 6 p.m. So, so typically it would just run through and it would go simply until step 2, and it would be ready to be picked up through, let's say, SSIS integration or API integration with accounts payable. Then when accounts payable does their job, or actually when it actually gets picked up, it's now at financials with AP, and then when they send back their actual finalization, it gets completed, and it confirms that they actually did send out the check. But we went ahead and automated it all the way through these steps because it was, you know, for the sake of the demo. So in this case, I'm on a financial, and I get to see the financial name. I get to see that the status, the number is a unique number. The actual amount is not editable. It's calculated here. In fact, all these fields have been locked down because we're completed already. Normally, they wouldn't be locked down. I get to see more information here. I get to see who the owner was. So this is a security concept here. The residential business unit can see this. No other business unit can see this financial, only if you're a member of that. I get to see the stage dates and etc. So there's some other valuable fields here. As many fields as you actually want to put on the form. Let's see here. We have this is paid out to the partner. And anything else on accounts payable? No. So I do have here cost codes, company codes, if that's relevant for you, but we have nothing set up for this, for that specifically here for the demo. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go back out to the project. I can either click the X here, and that'll take me back, or I can come right back into my project name by clicking here. And I'm just going to click the X. It'll take me back to the project screen where I was. And at this point, I do get to see that because the financial completed, the project also completed. So we set up automation that when the financial completes, because this is such a straightforward process, that the project automatically completes as well. So this is where we're at. Okay. So that's the process here for this. If I go back to Victor Vendor and I now look at my projects one more time, and if I look at the most recently created project, which was, I believe, this one right here. Well, no, it's a 3582. 3582. I'm able to see information regarding the project. I can see this was for, oh, I forgot to do the thermostat. Silly me. Okay, I should have done that while I was on site, but I forgot. I can see the measures that should have included a thermostat here. I can see my documents. I can see everything that I have on the project information here. And we can then automatically update the field so that it says, doesn't say it here, but we can set it up so that as soon as the project completes, that we can, that it'll change and say, yeah, the project has been completed, payment has been sent to the vendor, something like that. So I didn't do that here in the demo, but it's not difficult, it's just a workflow, okay? So the last thing I wanna show you is, and we spent some time already looking at it, so I don't know if we need to go into much detail, but we'll look at the reports. And again, these are simply Power BI reports that have been created in the system and have then been placed onto the dashboard. So this here that I'm looking at is simply an iframe that is showing me the Power BI reports that I want to, that I as Ava or I as Kevin, I want to display these to my vendor. Now, I can display different reports to the vendor that I display to the customer. And again, they can be done any way I want. So Here again, you can have filters based on dates. You can have filters based on any field that you want, actually, based on time. I didn't have a time slot breakdown here, but you can have a breakdown by time slot, by whichever you want, okay? So in this case, Team North is going to change the values here, and I get to see I have 3 appointments at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 at 12 noon, and then 6 at 4 p.m. So pretty straightforward. How I'm, I get to see my available versus my non-available appointments. 75% of my appointments during this time slot are available, 25% are not. So I have some that are not available, et cetera. And then I have, so you can, and this is just ideas, you can add more. Then we have our leads. We looked at this a little bit already. And again, interactive, I can just select on March. I can click here on March. And if you click on March, then you can see everything changed. So this number here went down from 27 out of 30. So 27 out of 30 appointments because I selected the March here. And then I can see 17 appointments out of the 20, are highlighted here. These are the results that I'm looking at. And I can see 6 of these have confirmed in March, 4 were walkaways. I can see the amount of time that was spent, or the amount of request types. So of the, there were 4 HEAs, 6 thermostats, and 7 combinations of both, etc. And then I can actually see the list here as we have it. So broken down by time slots, etc. So a lot of flexibility here to create these and create the look and feel as you want. And again, you can do this by teams. If I want to do an analysis just of the North team or the West team or the East team, I can then review what the values are here. And there's color schemes that you can use. This is showing more bright colors, whereas the report that we just looked at was had a different color scheme. You can also place your totals here, and if we, for savings, for incentive, and you can also, if the data allowed it, you could then flag this to. So, for example, for this site, I have a total of $18,000 worth of incentives for this one site here. If I want to click on kitchen aerators, 6,200. I can also select bathrooms. I'm up to 14,300. So this allows you to be interactive the way you need to. And again, these are just some ideas. We can figure out for you exactly what you want. They're not difficult, and we would train your team. And you probably actually already have people on your team that can do Power BI reports, and they'd be able to make things that probably look a lot better than this, a lot more to your needs. So what we've done is we've completed the demo of the program process. And the next thing for us here would be to move into the service, the CRM field service. But before we do, I just want to ask you if there's any questions on the program process that we looked at.
Hey, Mark, this is Kevin. No, this demo is really good. Obviously it spans multiple across multiple systems that we have in place right now, right? And from what I'm seeing too is like, necessarily like the AP part, the payment part, the flexibility. I mean, I'm assuming the flexibility we could build, potentially we could build this as we go. How many of these elements do we start with just the workforce element, and obviously building reports separate aside, but I mean, I guess the whole, like the AP processing, I mean, that was interesting, no doubt about it, but it's not necessarily that we have to build it all.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'm only actually showing you a slice that's relevant to you. I'm only showing you maybe 10% of, the type of functionality that you can, because I wanted to tailor the demo for you. We cover all kinds of sectors. So we have point of sale programs. So let's say there's point of sale upstream programs that, let's say Home Depot is selling light bulbs. So we have those kind of programs. We also have, so we have, let's say, commercial, prescriptive or custom commercial and custom industrial programs with real specific complex measures, measure calculators. I mean, we have a whole gamut, but these are the features that we talked about that you wanted to see in this demo. And that's why we, in a sense, limited it to this, because if we showed you any more, it's sometimes it's too much for the brain. There's a lot of different screens.
Right. No, I think this was sufficient to give us a flavor of, you know, what it can provide, right? No doubt about. I mean, there's different types of programs. These, you know, program templates can be built for programs, and how does the program run, and the incentives and the calculations, and I mean, I think we got a good enough flavor to understand, to make the correlation across how we do business now in the systems we use now, and how something like this could be integrated, would be used to integrate the various types of systems, the different programs. So I think, I mean, it's a good start. It's a good start. It was a good start to begin that understanding, I guess.
Fantastic. So great. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to do an introduction here for Tim. Tim's going to be showing us the field service component. And before I turn it over to him, I just want to show you the components that we have here for the CRM and field service. So first of all, just so you know, in dynamic DSM, when we implement this, we actually are CRM experts. So there's others out there that do provide, you know, tools, but we really have experience with CRM. We understand what customers are looking for. So I want you to be aware that, so what functionality comes with Microsoft Dynamics, you have a full CRM, including all the communication. There's 12 reporting tools. Documents, attachments, automation. There's also full-on marketing, which means you can send emails, you can send email blasts, you can do, if you see that, for you guys, if you want to use this as a feeder program. So if the HEA, if your home energy assessments is a feeder program for some other program, then that's easy. You can just set up marketing lists so that you can send an email out 3 months later to everybody that went through HEA or everybody that got a thermostat. They can now go through and maybe you offer them something else. So there's scoring, there's campaigns, email blasts, SMS blasts, full lead management. You saw that, I showed you that. There's a full support setup here as well, meaning if your customers or Victor vendor has issues, there's a full-on issue tracking and case management and knowledge base, and even portal notifications. So if Victor has questions, if something doesn't work for Victor, he can then log an issue himself, or Craig customer. There's full-on applications. We talked about this, and you saw how this works. I just kept it simple down here, what I'm saying. There's full contact management, synchronizes with Outlook. You've got connections between different kinds of contacts and accounts. You've got the full service, field service module that can be set up, which includes, you know, a lot of things. I'll just mention a couple: your scheduling, team management, availability, inventory management, maps, heat maps. In fact, the Power BI connects directly in and includes ArcGIS, which means full-on heat mapping. If you wanted to take a look at on a screen, show me on a map of Las Vegas where my leads are, where my walkaways are, visually on a map. You can see that, and it's got full Outlook and email and calendaring set up as well. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and Tim, I'm going to make you also an organizer as well, and then you can. Let's see. I'm looking for Tim. Oh, there you are. Okay. I'll make you an organizer as well, and then you can go ahead and present your screen.
All right.
After Tim does his, then we'll come after, we'll follow that up with the configuration ability. Jonathan will talk about that. And then if there's any other questions and answers at the end, we'll do that. Okay, so field service, and then configuration, and then Q&A. Tim, are you able to grab the screen, or do you need me to give it to you?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me, can you see my screen yet?
Yes.
There you go.
I'm going to
Great.
mute myself, and then just be listening to Tim.
Okay. Great. So let me, hold on one second. All right. So real quick, as Mark was talking about, the field service component or module is more or less like an app that installs into the Dynamics 365 platform, much like Dynamic DSM is an app that installs, so you can have these multiple apps and they deal with the same data, but it, you know, the people that engage with it can really see different views. So the field service app had Microsoft really over the last like 2 or 3 years has evolved it quite a bit. So it's extremely powerful. I'm sure it has a lot more than you would be immediately looking for, but it is something that you can grow with, and just know that it's got a lot of the features there that you can turn on at any time. So again, the screens, the functionality even, is something that it's not a straight, this is how you must do it. It's all configurable, from the screens to the processes through the functionality, and so you can basically turn on or off whatever you need. So the first slide here I've got is just showing, you know, customer satisfaction is really the cornerstone for any field service organization. And
Hey, Tim,
yeah.
your sound is a little bit, maybe you could move back from the mic a little bit. It sounds like the mic is catching a little bit strongly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on my headphone right now, so.
That's why. Yeah, it's definitely an odd sound, I will say. It's a little bit, it's not a clear sound.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can adjust it. It was.
It was functional, but not optimal, not normal.
Okay, well, if I need to, I can turn off my headset, but we'll go with this for now. So really, Dynamics 365, the field service, offers contextual customer identification through multiple channels. So you can basically turn on the ability for your customers to do chat online, or you can communicate to them via SMS. And as they send an SMS or as they do a chat, it will automatically, based on phone number, based on the information given, it will automatically look up their customer record, so you get kind of a full view of that account. So it's very cool. You'll see that as the field service reps get dispatched, they can the customer can actually track where that service technician is en route to their home, and you can even allow that technician to chat with the user via Dynamics 365. Okay, so we'll go next. All right, hold on. Okay. A big part of the field service component are the work orders. So you can create different types of work orders, and each work order you create can have a different number of requirements. So if they're going out on site to install multiple things, each one of those products can have its own set of tasks. So one work order can be created to have multiple requirements, and each requirement or product can have multiple tasks that the technician will just kind of check off as they go through that appointment. Okay, you can also define multiple categories for each work order so that you can easily find the right technician that installs those particular components. And it's a great system for engaging the customers. It sends out automated reminders via, again, SMS or via phone. It will notify people based on whatever requirements you put into the system once they're on their way or when they're 10 minutes away from arriving at the appointment. You can set those up to automatically go out. So it's a very easy way of proactively communicating with the customers. Also, when you dispatch the technicians, I'll show you this a little bit. It's easy to not just optimize the routes that they'll go on, but you can also assign the technicians based on exactly what their expertise is or what products that they deal with. So, and then this is a cool point at the end of each appointment. Once the technician leaves, you can automatically send through email or text a form that has a survey that will allow the customer to kind of record their experience. Again, with all things Microsoft, you're tracking all the interactions. So every email, every text that gets sent or received from that customer will show up on their account and within that particular work order. You'll have a running history of everything that's happened, which just gives your agents, your users, real full view of everything that's going on with the customers. This is huge, optimizing resource management. Again, as I was referring to, it uses multiple factors such as the technician's experience, their certification, whatever skills that they have, even the customer's preferred technician. You can create that as criteria when assigning the technicians to the customers. So it just allows you to much more effectively manage your resources and the technician's time with the system. So additionally, there's a add-on called Resource Scheduling Optimization that you can just snap in, and it will help you to fit in more appointments per day prioritizing whatever you want, the highest value customers, or prioritizing, minimizing the driving time, or sending, again, a customer's preferred technician. So you can manually lay out your technicians' calendars by your dispatchers, or you can actually have the system automatically optimize it and assign everything. And so what the system will do is it will do smart scheduling and routing. So I know right now you guys have an online system where your customers will say, okay, I want a slot here. So absolutely, you can do it that way. Although at times, if you allow the customers to kind of pick their slots, you may have the technicians kind of running, from one side of town to the other. So this system, will obviously track the technicians that are in the area and try to best optimize the routes. But you can also, have the system optimize the scheduling as well if you give it more control over the schedule. So it kind of works any way you want, allowing as much manual engagement from the customers or from your dispatchers as you want to give. Okay, and then this is just similar thing. It improves the scheduling through scheduling assistance tool, which I'll briefly show you if we have time. I got to watch the time. All right. And this is also a big deal. It's free with the system. A field service mobile app allows the technicians to get all the information they need. It can work online or offline, so they'll have their schedule even if they get out of internet reach. They'll still have their schedule. They'll still have all their work orders listed. But as long as they're online, the dispatcher will be able to communicate with them, give them new work orders and new appointments to their schedule that they'll see, and it'll just pop up with a little notification that tells them that they've got a new appointment. Okay, so that's the app. It obviously works on Android or iPads or iPhones. Okay, and then basically the Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, it just empowers technicians to solve their problems much more quickly. They've got this thing called HoloLens, which is just another component that's very futuristic. I won't get into that right now, but Microsoft's everything that they do that they buy, they just find a way to kind of plug it in to the system. And then Mark was talking about the Power BI will give you reports that will do more than just kind of display the data, but it will allow you to really draw useful insights to help you make decisions and revise your actions. Okay, so this is just a quick list of some of the main features or functionality within the core field service automation. Work order management, scheduling dispatch tools, communication, again, through texting, chatting, online, emails, phone calls have always been a part of it. It can track products or asset management, inventory and purchasing, and returns. It has billing capabilities and time tracking in the system as well. Then you've got connected to the field service is, again, the self-service customer portal where they can, schedule the appointment, but then they can also kind of track all of their previous appointments and their previous work orders. You can do preventative maintenance. It's a very easy to use mobile application and a lot of analytics for reporting. And then lastly here, these are extensions to the field service. Microsoft has really done great with their integration with the IoT platform, so that if you have devices in the field that are online, those can plug right into the system, so that you can proactively automatically create work orders if some product in the system goes offline. And obviously they're including augmented reality and artificial intelligence into their system as well. Right, so I think that does it for my slides. I'm just going to give you guys a little, let me do this. Okay, hold on. All right, so this is just the actual system itself. This is the dashboard. Sorry, one of these dashboards is down on my demo, but this kind of gives you a sense of what the dashboards look like. You can have basically a heat map or these maps that kind of show you, this is basically showing you the different customers, how many work orders that they have, and if anything has happened that's gone wrong. So you can just click on this, and then it filters your list to just those items. Okay, and then this is showing you the IoT alerts that are going on with all of the devices that are in the field. Okay, but I do want to show you. Okay, this basically kind of gives you a list of everything that's happening each month, which not as interesting as this. Okay, so this is really the dispatcher's view of all of their technicians. So you have kind of this ongoing list. You'll see everything that is currently scheduled is blue. As the technician checks in and they're driving, you'll see it'll pop up as red, and once it's completed, you'll see it's light blue, and then if they're actually on site right now, it'll show different, this maroon color. You basically have a list of all of the unscheduled work orders that are here that haven't been scheduled yet. So you can, as you see, someone that has a slot in their schedule, you can actually just kind of drag and drop that right up into their schedule. Okay. You'll also kind of see a map of here. The question marks represent unscheduled work orders right now. The ones that are checked off have been actually scheduled. So you kind of get a good sense of where things are at, and it'll actually then, as you assign these work orders from the map, it'll then actually route the technician through their day. Okay. So I'm flying through this because I want to definitely give Jonathan some time, and as well some time for your questions. Do you guys have any questions right now, or anything you'd like to see?
No, Tim, I think what you're going through, I mean, from my perspective, this is Kevin. Obviously, it's pretty much real-time scheduling and dispatching, right? It's allowing for, ultimately, the best world we could be in is, as appointments get canceled, we're refilling those appointments, right?
Correct.
Communicating, potentially communicating. I'm thinking you could even quite easily have a backup list of customers that are interested, and they could, those customers could show up as whatever purple question marks on the map. And then if appointments walk away, people, you get a walk away appointment, a dispatcher could, communicate with the customers and try to refill their schedule as they go, right? Customers that maybe are off every Wednesday. I want to get moved up in the schedule. I'm off every Wednesday. Call me if you have any Wednesday walkaways. And we'd dynamically have that ability.
Absolutely.
A dispatcher would have that flexibility.
Absolutely. What Microsoft has really baked in is the ability to have all sorts of criteria available. So exactly as you say, if they have an appointment in a week, but they would like to be fit in somewhere sooner, you can absolutely do that as your dispatchers notice that there are slots that are opening up. They can go to the work orders can actually show them anyone that wants to have a slot today or would be available to have a slot today that might be scheduled for the future. It'll show up here. So absolutely.
Yeah, because we're always obviously in field services or this line of business, like 10 days. 10 days is like the window you'd want, everybody, within 10 days you can schedule that you can get customers in within 10 days. You start getting out past 2 weeks, your walkaways will go up. I mean, in basically with the systems we have in place right now, obviously we don't have a lot of this type of visibility, and we lose out on a lot of opportunity to pull in our schedule, right? When we have walkaways. So I mean, I look at this and it looks very similar to like my HVAC company that calls me and I reschedule with them. They're constantly, reshuffling the deck throughout the days to keep all their trucks going to appointments all day. That's basically what we're saying. But yeah, I mean, you got to have the visibility. I mean, we could do this, but we'd be operating off separate spreadsheets and lists and all that sorts of thing, which is rather cumbersome, and obviously a bunch of gaps there when that happens. Just human error trying to manage stuff on the back end manually.
Yeah. So sorry, I just kind of whipped through things. I want to be able to give it over to Jonathan to show you guys the configurability of the system.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. And if you guys could make me presenter, that would be great. But you guys got to see a lot of the functionality within Microsoft CRM, Dynamics 365, and our solution, within Dynamics 365. And you may be asking yourself, in this portion, that's what I'll do. I'll show you a little bit of how Microsoft CRM is configurable. And if you are looking for a system, that you want possibilities with little limitations of automation and how things can be configured, this is definitely the software for you. That's one of my favorite things about Microsoft Dynamics. If I could think of, most likely I could make it happen. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, are you guys able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. So this is the screen that we previously showed in Dynamics 365. This is just out of the box standard dashboard, and I wanted to carry your attention here into the navigation on top. And you'll see that we have different groups. Mark most of the times was at his workplace. By the way, this is all configurable, meaning that you could have this type of ribbons depending on the group of people that you're working. That's one of the new things that Microsoft Dynamics came out with. Not everybody gets to see. You could customize this as needed. I see a lot of things because I am, an admin in the system. So I want to bring your attention to some of the tools we have here as DSM admin. You'll see that we have all kinds of templates, and you saw us going through a lot of those processes, or even some of the measures that were selected there here at this measure library. Some of the calculations and all the good stuff is within this, and there's so many other items that you are able to configure. But I want to also mention a little bit here about the system admin. On the system admin, Microsoft gives you the ability to do your customizations. And let me go ahead and quickly just show you what that looks like. So you could definitely customize and really build your own programs and with your own code. But if you're prefer more of a way of customizing the system, that's what Microsoft Dynamics has done for you. So let me go ahead and click on customize the system here, just to go on under the hood here. So you'll see here that really quick, forgive me, let me zoom in a little bit here. The screen came out a little bit small. But you'll see that there's all kinds of what Microsoft call components, and some of those components are your entities, your option sets, web resources. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the processes in a moment, but pretty much all the components that you got to see in our demo, they are configurable. So there's not much hard coding in the system, but you're able to really configure all the way even to what they call the field level. So your data, and it's also secure to the field level with Microsoft. So you can have restrictions at the what they call entities, but these are different tables. I'm not going to expand it because we have few tables there, but you're able to configure that and even set up your security all the way to that level. You're able to create your own email templates and even document merges, which is called meld templates. Merge templates. So highly configurable. This is just a little bit of preview of the things that you can do, but let me go ahead and give you an example in how we actually configure one of the workflows that you got to see, the one for direct install. So let me go ahead and close this, get out of here, and let me start with my DSM admin. So I'm going here to my DSM admin, and I'm going to go to my project templates. So project templates is a configuration component that we have where you initially set up your workflow. So you got to see today what we call Direct Install Commercial 2020. So I'm going to open the record, and as I open the record, there's some things that you could set up out of the box. So you'll say, what's the name, how many steps or milestones you're going to have for that. Are you planning to create financials, which is your different payments that you're going to do from the beginning. So there's much configuration you can do. What kind of who's the program manager for that, and pretty standard stuff that just for time's sake I'm going to skip over, but I'm going to bring your attention into the 4 different steps that you got to see today: your project upload and creation, validation, evaluation, and close. Within, you'll see that you can actually set up a duration period for each specific milestone. How much time are you expecting to spend on it? And if sometimes some companies don't have this data, but if you have it, you could set this up. But also what we've done in the background, you will see a summary of what is the actual duration for each milestone, for each process. So you could gather some data and get a real estimate. How long does it really take what I'm predicting versus the actuals? But this is a place where will you configure those steps. Let me scroll down for a little bit more. If you had any financial templates or payments that were from the initial, you will set them up here. Any required documents that they need to be attached, that's where you'll set them up as well. Now, when we look at this here, and one of the things you'll see here is oh, how can there's no required documents here? And we got to see that on the demo. Well, one of the nice things that we have is that we actually can make required documents not only based on the template or project template workflow, but also depending on what kind of measure installations your customer is doing in their system. Now, one of the things we have done as well on the project workflow is setting up different levels of approvals depending on the amount of money. This one, we didn't have any approvals at the project level, you got to see some of those the marks show on the financial itself, on the payment. But you can actually set up those levels of security too on your project, meaning that if you are saying that's the max amount that we're doing per project, this is what you'll set up. And this over here is what I was mentioning before. You could set up different types of payments depending on what you think is best. And we have method 1, which is at the very beginning. Other ones, sometimes you just need to create a payment ad hoc. We give you that as well. But also you have the ability to say, you know what, I want it to be created when a measure gets created. That is the payment. Sometimes you may need multiple payments for different partners, or just until there's a type of specific measure that gets installed, that's who the payment goes to. This is where you configure. So this is the way that you'll create it. So as soon as you create this, there's automation in the back that you will be able now to select within the portal or the backend. Oh, I want to create a direct install commercial 2020. And now it's an option, and it will follow this roadmap for you to create this. So now let me go ahead and move into the workflow that you got to see step by step on the top of the screen as Mark was showing up. Microsoft calls that I'm going into my systems here, processes. So let me go ahead and click on processes. So the project template that I show you really works hand in hand with our processes. So I'm going to open the specific one, direct install business process flow. And one of the nicest thing about this is that you could have these processes not only on the project, but you could create a process in your entity or any table or any entity within the system, and you could cross from one to the other one. So as you can see, this is what is called the canvas, where you're able to actually design your process. As you can see, upload, creation, project validation, evaluation, and close. So within each of these are called stages. You're able to set up as many as you want to. You can make them conditional as well, meaning that if there are some fields or different other conditions that you want them to go in a different path or skip a specific step as well, you're able to do those things. So it's a really nice thing that you're able to conditionally set up your processes. Now also we have what is called a data step. On the demo, we got to see that Mark wanted to move, but he couldn't because there was a required field. That's a data step. And you can set up as many data steps as you want within your process, and just by simply drag and drop, and you can select, okay, what's the field? Okay, I want to capture my address. Okay, all right, so, well, you know what? I don't want to make it required. I just want the user to be aware on the top of the screen instead of having to scroll to the screen. Okay, that's just great. But if you decide, you know what, I do want to make it required, simply check a box here. Now they won't be able to go to the next step unless they actually populate the field. So it's a pretty powerful tool to be able to use those. We also have the workflow, and this workflow, I know sometimes it's confusing with the language, but in Microsoft CRM, what they call a workflow, it is automation, meaning that whatever your parameters are, and you got to see how we were able to send emails and things like that automatically. You could totally set up a workflow within each specific process here. As you can see here, we have a specific workflow that will complete a milestone automatically. So these are the different ones that you could set it up, and the possibilities are endless. If you think about what field needs to trigger and things like that, you could totally do this within this Microsoft automation workflows. You could set it up, stage entry, stage exit. It's up to you. Really simple to just set this up. The last component that I wanted to show you here is the action step. Action step is similar to the workflow. The only difference is that you could set this up for the user for them to click on it. So instead of automatically an automation happening, the user could use the action step, and they say, okay, I'm ready to send this email whenever I want during this point. So that's the difference between those. Flow steps is a really nice thing that the Microsoft just developed, where you could totally just preview data within the top of the screen and it could even be aggregated data from other entities, summary data or anything like that, in order for them to see that. So that's the power of the business process flows, and it's as simple as updating here, and you're done. The update will happen live in the user. If you don't want to update it, you could just save it and exit and come back later on. But in Excel, this is some of the configuration and how Microsoft gets configured. I would love to open it for any questions.
Seems a lot easier than doing the enhancements in DRMS, huh, guys?
Hello, it's David Zajdek. So regarding this this process, so whatever you were configuring here, you were dragging, dropping stuff, and picking from from list this. Do you have code? Do you have access to SQL code or to do something in code actually, or inject some piece of code to get something from table or so, or everything is just by clicking?
I'm going to say that most of the things are just by clicking. If you want something really complex, there's some XML language and stuff like that that you can manipulate in some stuff.
Exactly.
But for the most part, it's just clicking. I will say 95% of the configuration I do is clicking. It's
okay, but you know, if we do not want to click, if you prefer to get access to source code, maybe source code is like a wrong, you know, term, but to code, to change like flow, for example, to change some flow using code. Can you do both, like clicking and code, or
yes.
how is that?
The answer is yes. Microsoft has opened it up for developers, so you could definitely customize this to the code as well. It's not necessarily what we recommend, but it is available for you.
And my understanding is that probably this C#, yes. If the code is C#, yes. Or what language is there?
That's a good question. So there's definitely some C# components, but it really depends what we're trying to configure the language. But there's plenty of documentation for whatever you want to customize specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you need C#, yes, I mean C# is you can use that to in the touch points that Microsoft gives you.
Are we able to access this data through a Microsoft SQL database, or does everything have to be pulled directly from Dynamics 365?
Yes, so it is, you do have to pull it directly from 365 if you have an online version. If you go with your on-premise version, you could definitely tap into your SQL database that is created when you install this solution.
Tim, could you explain also that you can also do a daily dump into SQL as a backup, and then bottom line, do anything you want on that SQL data? That there's an automatic, I think it's a daily automatic backup built in that can go straight into SQL. Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, that's correct. So Microsoft gives you the capability of, I mean, they automate it in their Azure environment. You can have a SQL database in Azure that basically mirrors your Dynamics database, so that if you need to get a lot of data out of it, I mean, you can get data out of the database, but if you actually want to do your own joins and do you know, more advanced reporting, you can have a mirrored SQL database.
Good questions.
Guys, what about, you know, this, because I believe, you know, you mentioned Azure, so it is like a cloud solution. Do you guys offer a hosted solution? So we buy this from you and we install this in our server, in our environment.
Tim, could you speak to that?
Yes, we can do that. Obviously, Microsoft is really pushing people toward their very secure cloud. And so there are a few more features available in their cloud version, but they do allow you to go on premise, and we can support that if that's what you choose to do.
Hi, this is Tony Chavez. What are the methods to upload data into Microsoft Dynamics?
Great question. So are we talking about customer data or project data?
Regardless, if there's
Okay,
different type of
perfect.
data, just show us, elaborate.
Yes, so there's multiple levels that we have. I know we even have a whole slideshow, but I'll just out of memory mention it here. So you could definitely use the Microsoft Native Import Wizard, which is really friendly, user friendly for those that are not too data savvy. Now, expanding to those that understand data a little bit more, we actually have our own dynamic DSM uploader, which allows you to upload multiple data, multiple tables within the structure that we have in the system. So that's something that we use for a lot of commercial programs with a lot of data that they want to bring in and understands the the logic that we put into. But now if you want to do larger loads that are automatically, we could connect or integrate with your systems using SSIS, and we do that a lot, especially to bring all your customer data with your consumption loads and anything that you need on, and we do that through SSIS. And we have used Kingsway, another tool as well, but we like Microsoft SSIS as a standard tool. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I'll say one more thing on that there's a standard RESTful API as well, web services in that Microsoft Dynamics comes with, and we use that as well to integrate with some systems. So we use the API for some systems. We use SSIS for frequently with utilities to bring data from SAP or Oracle on a daily or regular basis. We also have there's the out-of-the-box import tools that Microsoft provides that do matching and all kinds of other things that are very capable, and you can look at YouTube videos on those, as well as our own uploader that can upload multiple entities at the same time and then associate everything. So there's a number of different methods that are involved. There's also a straight just Excel upload that where you can just have an Excel either on the fly or with a pre-mapped, just import data straight from Excel. Obviously, it depends on your status. If you're not able to create records, then you can't really run the upload. And if you're not able to update records, then it'll take that into account as well. So security is built into all of these different functions that we're talking about.
Thank you, Mark. Excellent. Any other questions?
So in the first part of the presentation, when you were presenting this part of program-related DI and workforce a little bit, the interface was pretty cumbersome. The second part, when you were showing this routing optimization and so on, it was like more closer to 2020. So regarding to this first part, can you customize interface, guys?
Yes,
and
you're mentioning the one on the portal on the very beginning, correct?
Exactly.
Yes. So let me go ahead and close this up here. But yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's fully configurable however you want it to look. So the system internally within Microsoft Dynamics 365 has a specific look and feel. You can have themes as you want, but everything else we try to the look and feel that you saw in that initial component there was simplified to help the user to focus specifically on the items that are relevant for them, assuming that these are people that some of them are customers, some of them are vendors, they don't work in the system all the time. So we've worked with some user interface companies to help design interfaces that are simple, but they're actually as flexible as you want. We can add any layers of complexity or of look and feel, colors, themes, fonts, you know, anything that any look and feel that you would like it to have, that can be done.
Thank you, Mark. And yes, and this is the portal configuration portion where you could configure your web page and the different forms as needed. And you can make it as simple as, you know, make it look like a paper application that people could just simply submit if that's easier as well. Yeah. Great,
Thank you.
great questions. Any other questions? Excellent. If no more questions, I'll give it back to you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. So, are there any other questions from your team, Kevin? Anything else you'd like to see or that we should discuss here before we call it a meeting? I think our time is actually up right now. Anything else before we end this?
Well, I don't have any questions. I mean, from my perspective, my higher level perspective, but I'm sure post this meeting, the group, David's IT group on there, obviously, they probably have some thoughts that we probably collaborate on after the meeting. Even if the questions, obviously, not all the questions are going to come out here. But you guys, David, your team, do you guys have any more questions for Mark?
So Mark, I got when Kevin started talking, I like one question appeared in my head. What about customers? Do you have any customers that are using your product in, and I mean in the DSM world?
Yeah. So let me go back to the beginning here. Let me show my screen. Hold on a second. Let's see, where is my screen? There it is. GoToMeeting moved everything around, so I'm not always familiar with it. Okay, so in terms of what I said here, we've done over 25 implementations around the country, around North America, I must say. Number one, and then if I scroll forward here, these are some of the customers that we have. So Tacoma, Fortis, Efficiency One, Enbridge, SoCal Gas, Ameren, Missouri, they're in St. Louis, Pepco, SoCal Edison, Con Edison in New York, Tennessee Valley Authority. So we've implemented dynamic DSM all around the United States and North America and Canada as well. Over the last, we've been in business. We did our first implementation in 2006. So if I, let's see, there it is. So right here, our first implementation of dynamic DSM was 13, 14 years ago. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah. Thank you very much. I missed that. I'm sorry. Just to follow up, what is guys your business model in terms of how do you how do you make business in terms of how your customers are paying for your services? Is it you like you're pricing like implementation after like maintenance, or you do this like per number of customers, or how?
Well, the good thing is for you, we actually don't charge any money. We're completely free. No, that's not true.
We'll take it.
Okay, very good. I'll drive up there right now and we'll sign the contract. So there's three components. Component number one is Microsoft Dynamics 365 licensing. So that's just, we don't make any money on that. If you have better pricing than we do, and I assume you do, then you would simply work directly with Microsoft Dynamics to get the licensing price, and then you would flag us as your vendor, your partner for the licenses. Number one. The second component is licensing our product. So depending on the number of users, depending on the portal, we basically license out our core function, which is the system that Jonathan was showing. The core function of Dynamic DSM is one license price. Another licensing price is the portal. That's a different licensing price. And then another component is the ESP measure calculators. If your calculators are very simple, then we don't need to use ESP. If they're complex, then we would recommend it. And if you have lots of different calculators, but that's also a separate licensing price on a SaaS model. So we're talking, those are all, everything I've said so far, assuming that you're going in the cloud, would all be SaaS. And then the fourth component, or the final component, is the project pricing. So there's the implementation, and that all depends on how many programs and what, if you need to have, if you need anything custom built for you, or if you just need things to be configured for you. So we would then need to figure out what are the items that you need configured. And then the final component is the maintenance contract, needing to agree on how much work do you want to take over, how much work do you want us to take over. So there's the support. So there's the annual licensing price, step one for Microsoft Dynamics. Then depending on the components of Dynamic DSM, there's licensing price, that's number two, and that's annual. And then step number three is the implementation. And that's typically like a one-time, depending on also the maintenance, if we come to the maintenance agreement after that. So that's roughly how things are broken down in terms of the pricing.
Great, thank you. And my understanding is that you are one entity that I'm dealing with, so I don't have to deal with Microsoft separately. All these, separate licenses are done through you, correct?
If you want, yeah. So we have both. We have some of our clients, some of our utilities, they work through us, and we buy their Microsoft licensing, and we handle everything. With it, they pay us, and then we do everything. The other model is that some of our customers, they already have better pricing. They're so big, they have better pricing with Microsoft than we can offer. And so they want to leverage their better pricing, and their procurement teams require that they leverage their existing licensing. So that's fine. We're ambivalent either way. We're not making, it's not like we're getting rich off of our Microsoft licensing. That's not really where we're making any money.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'll give you back your days. I know it's not easy to be, I'm assuming, Kevin, is everyone also working from home, or are you guys in the office?
Yes. Yeah, most of pretty much 100% of our DSM department now is working from home. Just a couple people that are not. And we, obviously we canceled the appointment last week because a lot of that was transitioning last week, and last week was pretty hectic. So yeah, you are correct. Most of us are working from home now.
Okay. Well, we wish you the best, and thank you for paying attention and for spending 2 hours with us. Kevin, I guess you and I should just speak sometime next week once you've gathered your thoughts, and we can figure out if there's any next steps and what they might be, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a little time here. We'll probably talk on our side a little bit, and yeah, probably end of next week. We could schedule something with you, Mark, and that would work.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Sounds
Well,
good.
Hey, well,
Thank you
thank
so
you very
much.
much. Thank you very much for putting this together. I think, you know, for the most part, I think the presentation touched on the areas we were looking on. You know, it was a good overview for a level 1 pass through. So, David.
Excuse me, I could not hear. What was that?
Oh, I just said, as far as I was just thanking Mark, just letting him know that the overview is good. It was kind of what we expected. Is at a good level for the first, you know, pass through for an overview of the product. So.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much for it. It was intense. It was intense, but you know, but good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mark, for this presentation.
Awesome. Well, we moved very fast in a very short time, so thank you for paying attention.
Yep.
Okay, guys, I'll let you go. I'll end the meeting here. Kevin, would you like me to send you a recording, a copy of this?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Then we'll send a recording then. All right. Thank you, guys.
That's great. Thank you, Mark.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Thank you.